Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 21st of February, which is a Tuesday evening. And I thought I would do a little bit of a vlog and a sort of catch up because, you know, there's quite a lot of things go on in my life in the winter time. Even though I'm a little quiet in the store, I get up to all kinds of other things in my spare time. And one of them is I'm renovating my kitchen. And I had an interesting experience. You know, I have a big sag in the floor around about where my stove is, and I'm going to show you the video in a second. And I wasn't sure what to expect underneath that floor. There was some rot, but when I cut a hole in the floor, you will see that I found wood in extremely good shape. This house was built from hemlock, and hemlock is a quasi-hardwood. It is impervious to insects. I've been absolutely amazed. I had a tree outside my kitchen window here that was full of carpenter ants. I cut down the tree, and I kind of wondered where the ants would go, and you know, they haven't come into my house. The beams are still as good as gold. So you get a little look underneath my house, but I'm very pleased. And I think actually one of my videos, I'm going to take a little clip of my neighbour's house. My neighbour's house sold, and the new owner is absolutely gutting the house. It is absolutely back to the frame itself and the outer cladding. All of these houses were built in hemlock, 2x4 hemlock with the studs, and 1x12 pine board on the outside and the inside, and then lath on top of that to put the plaster on. So they were extremely well built, and surprisingly so. And it's been interesting for me to be able to see what my house looks like underneath all of the interior stuff. This house is what they call a Regency cottage. It was built in 1926, and the two houses, my neighbours and mine, are sister houses built in the same year. There was many of these cottages in Bobcaygeon, and an awful lot of them have disappeared now. They rotted out or they weren't looked after. Luckily, my home was turned into a 4-season home from a 3-season cottage, and although it has no insulation, but the wood and the outer cladding are so impermeable. It's almost like having you know, some kind of plastic wrap around the house. And really, after all, you know, I find it is the wind that is the big problem. You know, in the winter time, you can have minus 25 degrees centigrade and no wind, and you can heat the house no problem with wood at all. But you can have -5 and a 40 or 50 km/h wind and blowing snow, and holy jumpings, it's going to be feeling pretty cold in your house. So anyway, take a little look at the video there of one of my projects that I'm getting up to. And here we go, the handyman's paradise. Okay, so we've taken the old cupboards out, and they're right here. What a mess, what a horrible set of cabinets. Oh my god, I'm so glad to get them out. Anyway, it looks like I've got a hardwood floor under there, and it actually feels pretty solid. I was quite surprised. I thought it was going to be just really spongy under there, and so I just have to shim it up and square that floor off, and we are good to go. Okay, as you can see, the upper cabinets are all in, and one of the first things I'm going to do is that backsplash whilst there's easy access. So anyway, now I'm just going to get this cleaned up and put into the trailer, ready to go to the dumpster. Okay, part 2 of the removal. Look at that. Now, I don't know if you can see here that there is a huge sag in the floor here, but what I am pleased to find out is, I don't know if you can see down here, but these beams are like brand spanking new, and this here looks like somebody has shimmed this up. So that is what it is like under my house. The other things that I'm doing right now is I bought the book The 12 Rules for Life by Jordan B. Peterson, and I'm reading that. It is an absolutely excellent book. This man is a critical thinker of our time. I can wholeheartedly encourage you to spend the money, purchase this book. It's absolutely incredible. It's well written, it is salient, it is pertinent, especially for young men, but anybody who is seeking purpose in life and why we might want to do that is all encapsulated in this terrific book by Jordan B. Peterson. And it was under his recommendation that I started the Gulag Archipelago. This is volume 1, all 600 pages of it. This is by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and there are 3 volumes. So I've just started into that, and of course it is extremely well written. I'm looking forward to finishing the whole book, and yes, it's very interesting to study history and where we came from and what is going on in today's world. So now this evening, I've just got in actually, I was at, there you go, the Bob Cajun Farmers Market. Now I am the secretary for the Bob Cajun Farmers Market, and we have been going for about, I think it's our 6th season we're going into now. It's a very successful little market, and we have a 100-kilometer radius limit on the produce that can come into the market, so we benefit local farmers and local producers. And we now have meat and fish. This is a trout, locally fished trout, smoked trout, all kinds of vegetables, crafts, plants, seedlings, pies. Oh my goodness, the list is too long to go through of all the stalls that we have in there now. And I see these farmers markets springing up all over the place. And I think this is a really good thing for community. This is a great way for people to find out where their food actually comes from, and to make a real significant contact with the grower, and to understand some of the issues that are happening, with growing, the variance in seasons and this kind of stuff, the weather variance, how it affects the cost. And of course, what we're seeing, because there are now some significant shortages of early green vegetables, these local growers are coming into their own, because as shipping costs rise and other issues happen in different parts of the world, we've been encouraging our local growers and offering them a place to sell their produce, because these are the people who are going to feed you. These are the people who are going to be able to adapt to these new weather regimes that we're moving into. And believe you me, it is going to be tenuous. I am a serious gardener, and the weather issues, it doesn't take much to spoil your year. And that's why I'm putting in a greenhouse this year myself. As soon as this weather breaks, I will be out there putting in the final hoops and getting the plastic over the top of the greenhouse ready to plant in the springtime. And you're going to need something like that. The way the weather in the world is going right now, there are so many things knocking out major food producers. We have high winds took out 80% of Holland's greenhouses, major producer in Europe. Spain is going through a drought, and their production of early greens has fallen off a cliff. Central United States of America is under a foot of water right now. They're having horrible flooding right the way down those wheat belt growing areas. So there's going to be some significant issues. And now we have this Mount Cinnabon, the volcano that's just erupted, and they're predicting that this is going to be like Mount Pinatubo, and you may well be seeing the year without a summer. And this could be absolutely devastating for the price of food. So encouraging local growers, local farmers, farmers market, growing your own food is going to become extremely significant in the near to long-term future, as this Maunder minimum is coming upon us. We're well into it. That's why we stalled in temperature. We haven't really gone up in temperature for about 18 years. The climate scientists cannot explain what has happened, but if you look at long-term charts, and I will show you a chart here, you can see that the weather never stops going up and down, and we are just in that tipping point, and we're going into a Maunder minimum, which is a slowing down of the sun's flaring. This will be in combination with the slowing of the Gulf Stream. Climate scientists really don't fully understand all of these systems. Does the combination of these two things, going into a Maunder minimum and the ocean's currents slowing, maybe they're going to stall. Maybe this is the beginning of a long ice age and not just a little ice age. And we're in uncharted territories. And something that happened a few years ago with the Deepwater Horizon, BP put in the water. This is when the oil rig, of course, caught fire. There was all kinds of oil all over the place, and BP put into the water a substance called Corexit. And I actually saw satellite photographs of how Corexit had formed an emulsion in the Gulf, and the Gulf Stream had stopped. It had completely come to a halt. Now, I don't know if you know this, because I served my apprenticeship on BP tankers, and of course we had lifeboats, and in every lifeboat there is a thing called a drogue, and a drogue is like a little parachute with a rope on it, and you tie it to the front of the boat in rough weather, and it keeps the bow of the boat pointing into the weather so that you don't capsize. Okay, and that always comes along with this is a little bag of oil, and you drizzle oil down that rope, and that oil dripping onto the water will prevent it from splashing over the edge of the boat. Even in quite rough water, it's amazing what an oil emulsion will do to water. So this corrects it. It separated the volatile oils from the heavy oil. The heavy oil sank to the bottom of the Gulf, is still there, rolling around, doing whatever it does. And the volatile oils combined with the corrects it to make an emulsion. And that emulsion stalled the Gulf Stream. Now somewhere in the Gulf Stream's route around the world, there is about a 6-week to 12-week period where there was no current at all. Now it has re-established itself, but again we're into uncharted territories as to what effect that might have on our climate and our planet's weather. So that is something to be looked out for, and please prepare. Even if you think that you don't need a garden, put a little one in. Prepare yourself for what is coming. So what else has been going on? We just went through the Litecoin fork, the hard fork, into Litecoin Cash, and I have been extremely lucky with cryptocurrencies. I cashed out my Bitcoin. I left myself with 1 Bitcoin, and I cashed out whatever else I had, and I bought Litecoin when Bitcoin was way up there, about $16,000 or $17,000, and now Litecoin has had a hard fork, and Litecoin Cash has paid out 10 times whatever you had in Litecoin. Anyway, it took a little bit of manipulating between I bought a Ledger hard wallet for my cryptocurrencies because I wanted to get everything off my hard drive, and that's been very successful. And this little exercise has been quite a learning experience with how to move things in and out of my Ledger hard wallet onto the computer and into my Exodus wallet, using my Exodus wallet private key to go into my Litecoin wallet and redeem all of my Litecoin Cash coins. And Litecoin Cash is trading already between $4 and $9. I mean, it's absolutely incredible for a coin that has just come out of the gate. Anyway, it is boasting that it will be able to process blocks around about 10 times faster than Litecoin. And of course the speed of transaction is absolutely huge. You know, and we're talking, when you're looking at a debit card, those kind of systems, Visa card systems, they are processing somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 transactions a second. Okay, so if you want to compete with the real world with cryptocurrencies, you are going to have to speed up that process, and that seems to be happening almost at light speed. I wanted to talk a little bit about the blockchain, Bitcoin, Litecoin, because we have a kind of an older comparison with this, and that is called tally stick. Now there are references by tally stick of Pliny the Elder in AD 56, and there is also ancient, you know, something like 2,000 years BC, bones marked as if it was some kind of a tally stick. Okay, now tally stick went from, in England certainly, from 1100 right the way up until about 1850. Now what tally stick was a way of notarizing transactions. Now there was 2 kinds of tally stick. There was a single tally and there was a split tally. The single tally was basically a mnemonic or a memory stick to remind you of a message transported from person to person, so you didn't lose the meaning of the message through the telling through several people, and then there was a split tally which was used for notarization. And so if you purchased something from somebody, or you borrowed something or used something of theirs, you could use a tally stick. And a tally stick was a piece of hardwood, usually cherry, and you would have a stick and you would mark notches on there to signify what was owed by the person who had borrowed. And then you would split that stick in two, and both parties held the stick. And when you made a payment, you came together, you put those sticks together, and you notched off, or you crossed off payment to show that you paid, and then you both walked away. And this kept everybody honest, so that nobody could cheat, nobody could nobody could add an extra little mark, on that stick without the other one knowing about it. Okay, so it introduced an element of trust. And for tally stick to come in under Henry I, and it was used as a taxation, they used for property taxes and that kind of payment, but also between individuals. And in the end, it was such a competitor to the banking system, the banks actually burnt all the outstanding tallies to ensure that the practice of tally stick didn't carry on, and the practice of fractional reserve lending and fiat money was the new way of doing exchange. And of course we all know what happened then, what has happened since. And here we have Bitcoin and blockchain, and blockchain is very much the modern day tally stick, because it keeps everybody honest by the way it transacts. And the way it transacts is called triple entry accounting. And triple entry accounting means that what Bitcoin or any blockchain technology does is it checks the system for duplication before it allows any transaction to move forward. And what this means is that no fraud can take place, no duplication can take place. So this brings into being the idea of absolute immutable trust between two parties in two different locations. Now, I think these ups and downs in Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies and altcoins have been very much part of the bank trying to manipulate Bitcoin. Okay, what they're trying to do is they're trying to shake out as many people as they can, and then they buy up the Bitcoin because they want to control, like tally stick. They saw this as a major competitor and they just bought it all up. Now the major difference in this situation is that with tally stick they could pretty well be certain that they eliminated the vast majority of tally stick. But you know what? With cryptocurrencies, well, okay, so you buy up all of Bitcoin, well, everyone jumps to Litecoin. Oh, okay, so you buy all up a Litecoin, well, everyone jumps to Litecoin Cash. Oh, you do that, everyone jumps to Ethereum. We now have infinite tally stick. It will be absolutely impossible, it will break the banks to try and buy up all of Bitcoin. Okay, so I think we can safely say that cryptocurrencies are going to be around, and as Clif said in his last crypto report, that the banks would try, they would try early on in the new year of 2018, but would ultimately fail because cryptocurrencies are too versatile, too nimble, and too flexible for the banks to be able to keep up or have enough money to do any damage to these currencies, because we will just flip to another blockchain. And this of course is the answer to what happens when all the blocks are out of Bitcoin. Well, all of those blocks will go into a permanent ledger, which is the blockchain of accounting, and we'll just start another Bitcoin process where you process blocks of transactions. Simple as that. And there you go. Now you've got to buy all up of those Bitcoin. 21 million of them, and all at an increasing value. So no, I think your Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are safe as long as the internet stays up. So don't worry, it is going to be gut churning. There is no doubt about it. You're going to see these games being played because that is what the banksters do. They like to push it up to high highs, and then they crash it down. It shakes out all kinds of people, and they pick up the slack. And of course, they've already made their profit. They bought in low, and they were, as it was hitting 20,000, they were already exiting. And there was lots of eager buyers who thought they were going to miss out on the opportunity, got caught in the tailwind. They bought high, and now they're sitting there with $20,000 Bitcoin or $18,000 Bitcoin, and now it's riding around about $10,400. So be ready for gut churning. Be ready. But there are also great opportunities within the crypto space. We are definitely in the tulip bulb mania part of this expansion. There will be cryptocurrencies, as Clif again said, that won't make it through all of this. And so it very much is a get in and get out, and you know, try and make a few shekels here and there. Okay, so here we go. Brief history of tally stick. Tally stick, or simple tally, was an ancient memory, a device used to record and document numbers, quantities, or even messages. Okay, Paleolithic tally sticks. The Shango bone tool is a bone tool created to the Upper Paleolithic era, about 18,000 to 20,000 BC. And here we have the single tally, 521 to 486 BC. Split tally was used in Europe, still in use in the 20th century in rural economies. Split tally in England was around 1100 in medieval England, when King Henry initiated the tally stick system. He would only accept the tally stick for taxes, and it was a tool of the exchequer for the collection of taxes by local sheriffs, farmers farming the shire for 7 centuries. The split tally of the exchequer was in continuous use until 1826. In 1834, the tallies themselves were ordered to be burned in a stove in the Houses of Parliament. But look at this. What poetic justice. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But the fire went out of control, setting fire to the building. The event was described by Charles Dickens in an 1855 article on administrative reform. So there you go, my friends. Tally stick. Bitcoin is the digital tally stick of the 21st century. Bitcoin and the blockchain technology. Okay, so that is a brief snapshot into my life over the winter time and what has been going on for me. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it informative, and we will talk real soon. This is Hound Dog Steve signing off, hoping you have a very pleasant week coming up, and as I said, we will be talking very, very shortly. See you now.